Hey guys, I am Lana. This is from Corporate to Crystals. Back for another video, and this one is a special one. I think they're all a little special, but this one is to honor Mary Magdalene. And before you say anything about that, just know I'm not pushing my beliefs onto anybody. I want you all to find your own truth, and I want you all to find your own path, and I'm well aware that it can be different from mine, and that's beautiful. I don't think everyone needs to experience the same interpretation of God. I think that that's the point, is we all can like share and come together through all of our unique expressions of God. But on my path, unexpectedly, I had some really beautiful pivot towards Mary Magdalene, and then it just kept going. And once I hit Christ consciousness, it was just I speak that language now, right? So it's not that I think any other religion or I guess like gods and goddesses are less important or less impactful or whatever. It just happens to be that those are the ones that resonate most with me, because of the close relationship that I have had through my experiences with them. So yeah, today I wanted to honor Mary Magdalene. I have red roses because red roses have become a symbol for Mary Magdalene, and just like femininity in general. And I think that she's been a huge part of that. So I just wanted to give some information about her, and just kind of like, maybe this is a group that already knows this, and I love that if you do. And if this is a group who doesn't know it, then that's cool too. I like look forward to you just knowing some of this stuff. So to start, I wanted to pull the symbology behind red roses. So it says, the red rose symbolizes romance, love, beauty, and courage. And it is said that Mary Magdalene, the red rose, was chosen as a symbol of her for a few different reasons. But from a 3D perspective, it's a representation of her choosing love and choosing, to have courage to lean into love, right? And if anyone knows the story of Mary Magdalene in a very summarized way, the picture that has been painted of her is that she was a prostitute that was then saved by Jesus. And I think that one of the main reasons why I want to kind of honor her and acknowledge her on her feast today is because I almost feel like the use of the word prostitute to define her is just, it immediately muddies the water. And I'm not saying that's not true. I don't know. All I can say is I'm not perfect. Like, you're not perfect. All of us are going through our journeys, and we do things, and we are human. And I anticipate that a lot of the things that we did, we would be considered sinners too. And that's why we're going through a purification process to literally rid ourselves of our toxic patterns and to lean into love, have the courage to lean into love, to purify ourselves, right? And that is exactly the part of Mary Magdalene that should be remembered. Not, like, I don't even resonate with my old self. So sometimes I look at her or pictures of myself or even things that I used to say or do, and I'm like, wow, like, who was that, And I love her unconditionally, but at the same time, she's such a different person. It's unreal. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. So to know that even in the Bible, someone like Mary Magdalene, who, by the way, is mentioned in the Bible, or I should say the Gospels, more than any other apostle, and her name is mentioned specifically 12 times, and definitely her name is mentioned more than any other woman in the Gospels. So she's a big deal. Like, she's a big deal whether you're Christian, whether you're anti-religion, whether we're just spiritual and we're just like having this conversation to honor someone who was a human being who was on a spiritual path. That's kind of where I sit. And I just happen to have like connections to like their path and their lineage. But at the same time, this is a woman who went through a life-altering spiritual experience with Jesus Christ, and from that point forward was rebirthed and never the same again. And in that moment, she had the courage to choose love and lean into love, and became a disciple of Jesus Christ. And even that, a lot of the apostles, they did not like the relationship that Jesus and Mary Magdalene had. So there's a lot of theories and a lot of theories that are out there, and I'm not going to get into those today. But what I will say is that I think she's a beautiful representation of how all of us, every single human being, but especially us on this path, if we understand death and rebirth on a very intimate way when you're going through a twin flame journey, from the moment that you are awakened, you absolutely go through a purification process towards love, towards true love, towards everything standing in your way to get to the divine love that we are on the path towards, right? So what better a story to lean into than someone who was previously a different version of themselves? If we want to label her a sinner, fine, I feel like that's everybody. And then goes through an awakening experience and boom, becomes a rebirthed, saved version of herself. The fact that that part of the story is not acknowledged as the priority over who she used to be shows a complete disconnect in the entire ascension process, in spiritual paths in general, and specifically in Mary Magdalene and the story that she, created her life, right? This is a real person who went through a very intense journey, just like every other human being on the planet. Hers just happens to be documented and in a very spiritual way, right? And it's a pretty big bummer, for lack of better wording, that whoever created these books decided to highlight the fact that she was a sinner and a prostitute, I don't know, first. Because it immediately was painting a picture. It's basically manipulation, is what it is. If that was their intention, then it looks like it worked. If it wasn't their intention, then oops. But when you talk about, anyone who's become a parent even, or just any death and rebirth situation, you become an entirely different person as you evolve, and life throws curveballs at you, and life changes, and all the things. So whoever can't recognize that someone can change and that situations can alter a person from going from sinner to being saved, and have the kind of like attaching to the positive part of that story. Like, that story could have gone in a lot of different directions, but instead of focusing on all the improvement and all the ministry and all the healing that Mary Magdalene not only did with Christ, but also after his death and resurrection, she continued on with her life and continued to, be in ministry and continued to heal. And there's tons of stories out there about it. So it just seems like not a fair depiction of the impact of her and her life and her story and her courage. And the really important part of her story is the part that I think all of us can relate to, which is we were who we were and we made mistakes, or we, were unaware of the impact of some of our behaviors. And now that we see it and we want to do better and have the courage to lean in towards the light, lean in towards love and loving ourselves even for our past mistakes, whether they were, accurate or not, I don't know. That's all of our story, right? So why can't we honor that part of the story and just really give everyone with a similar story, but today specifically Mary Magdalene, kind of the honor that she deserves, right? So I wanted to do a video on it. In addition to that, I just wanted to mention how interesting. Today, I'm grateful that we have a feast day for Mary Magdalene to honor around the world. But just to show you how crazy her journey has been, she's literally probably the most controversial biblical character out there for a lot of different reasons. But I wanted to just kind of like show you one little piece. Her feast day wasn't even created as like a formal decision until June 10th of 2016. So she didn't even have a proper feast day. She wasn't even recognized as someone who deserved a feast day like all the other saints until 2016. So do I think that that is a coincidence? No. Do I think that at the same time as our entire planet was disconnected from our own feminine energy, that feminine energies of whatever kind, internal or, physical beings of feminine core essence, do I think it's a coincidence that those were suppressed? No. I think it was absolutely all tied into the fact that the feminine energy on our planet was being suppressed, whether it be externally or internally, right? And I'm not going to go on some rant about how, the patriarch and all this stuff. There's truth to that for sure, but at the same time, even the men who have feminine essence within them, that energy was deeply buried, and in some cases fully disconnected. And so as we all are reconnecting to our feminine energy, whether you are a masculine core or feminine core, I think that as we reconnect with the feminine inside of us, we can absolutely understand the pain and agony of a feminine saint or disciple. I think we can recognize her as the I feel like they call it the apostle of all. Yeah. We can recognize her as the apostle of all apostles. That is a title that she has earned. And again, the story is very important because we need to honor someone who literally gave their life serving God, which we can all resonate with on this journey. But in addition to that, honoring that energy and how we are part of the shift forward to break through that. And by honoring Mary Magdalene or anyone else who has been not honored in the way that they should have, including our own internal feminine energy, right? That is honoring the overall feminine energy collective, especially some of the, she's a goddess. She literally is. So, yeah, I wanted to just have that conversation today. I feel like it is a different video for me, but I felt so guided to do it because of my connection to all of them. And so I just really wanted to share a little bit and piece of some of the information that I was guided to share with you guys today. I probably will do some additional conversations around this. So this is probably like me warming up a little bit, but Again, I just want to make sure I'm not pushing my belief system off onto people. I just really want everyone to think, where are you seeing things like this in your own world too, right? Like, where can we continue to honor anyone who has chosen love, who has chosen the light? I don't care about their past. I care about their character, and I care about the courage that it takes to lean in to love and to God and serving God in a time when not many people are, right? And so to know that she was doing it back then in a time that was way, like, you know, more intense. They were literally crucifying people, and you get it. So to know that she had the courage to do it as a woman in a time like that, when they did not view women as even close to equal, especially in the, you know, spiritual ways. I honor that, and I think you guys should honor it too, and I hope you get a little bit, just feel connected to the story enough to have grace for anybody on any path, no matter how wild it looks to our human ego. Anyone can make the change, and that takes so much courage and so much strength, and it takes all of us honoring that process, no matter how messy it looks or how messy it is perceived to be. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this one, but I really appreciate you guys watching this. Give it a thumbs up, like, share, comment, whatever. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope that this gave you guys a little bit of information maybe you didn't know. And I hope it inspires you to reconnect with Mary Magdalene herself, if that is something you want to do, or just feminine essence, feminine energies within yourself, and honoring that as a kind of like ritual or, you know, ceremonial for it. So I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you on the next video.